managed to get online sales, getting in more and more into small packs. So canning and bottling have done quite well, and we've seen quite a few businesses actually bucking the trends and doing rather well in the last few months. So let me just move down a slide. The presentation today is going to form two parts. It's going to be, first of all, we're going to talk about general support, national support, that most of you looking at the screen, I hopefully will have had some access to, or at least be familiar with these. So these include the Coronavirus Job Retention Scheme, which is the furlough and SSP payments, business rates relief, there's VAT payment deferral, BA duty payment deferral, and rent relief depending on arrangements with local landlords. Then there's a bounce back loan, which is government provided loan up to £50,000, and the CBILS, which is a coronavirus business interruption loan scheme. I'm going to talk in a little bit more detail about the latter of some of these, because these are areas that Close Brothers are able to offer some advice and help on and have some influence over. So we'll talk about those in a little bit more detail just now. The final one on this slide is the loan repayment deferral, which is support that's been offered to our customers. So in terms of the latter of these, Close Brothers has been able to offer a fair bit of help. The bounce back loan, as I say, is something that many of our customers have managed to access, up to £50,000. Sorry, I'm just getting a message that I'm not actually being seen, so need to just bear with me. Okay, hopefully that's better. So the CBILS scheme is the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme. So that's something that we've been able to help quite a few customers with. I believe that's now been extended until the end of January, and it offers businesses an opportunity to get loans up to £5 million to help support the business through the coronavirus. We have actually used this in conjunction with our current hire purchase and leasing facilities. So what I mean by that is that we've actually been able to provide loans to customers for supporting new canning lines or bottling lines, for example. And that's been a big help to customers through that period. You'll see on the screen in front of me just a summary of that. So it is available for new assets subject to eligibility, which every funder has to go through in terms of adhering to the British Business Bank's criteria for this scheme. Besides that, outside of the CBILS scheme, we're still providing asset funding to support new and existing customers and accessing new routes to market. So as I've mentioned, I think more and more people are turning to small pack as people's drinking habits have been changing, and I believe will continue to change to a certain extent, even when we come out of lockdown. So there are quite a few customers that we've been able to support. We've put in canning lines, bottling lines in place in the last 6 to 9 months, and that's made a difference to many businesses. Off the back of that, we do have a very strong relationship with many of the major equipment suppliers. Now, what that means is that because of that relationship that Close Brothers has with these, we can help to negotiate in terms of the payment terms that you might have with these suppliers. So, for example, lower deposits, spreading the payments further if they know that there's funding in place, and Close Brothers have already provided funding for several customers for this particular supplier. then the stronger the relationship and the more that we can help to influence the terms with that particular supplier. The next item on here refers to releasing of capital against existing unencumbered assets. So what we mean by that is if you have equipment within a business, within a brewery that doesn't currently have any debt against it, now might be a good time to look at whether you can release any equity against those assets. So we can advise on sale and lease back. So that's where we would buy those assets off a business and lease them back over a period of up to 5 years, which of course releases capital into the business and then spreads the payment over the remaining period. That's become quite popular. It's something that Close Brothers has always been keen to look at, subject to valuation of equipment, of course, but probably even more prevalent in current times that you look at those opportunities. The final piece on here is forbearance payments arrangements. So we've been quite busy since the start of lockdown 1 in helping customers to spread payments due, whether it be on rentals of our containers or on equipment finance. So we've been looking to reschedule agreements to lower payments, or we've been actually offering full payment holidays. And I would suggest that most finance companies and suppliers are keen to do the same sort of thing. So, reach out and talk to, all funders, creditors, and see if you can make those payment arrangements. So by several or using some of these available options and talking to funders, there is help out there. It does mean that businesses, it's tough at the moment, but we're all trying to get through it together. We can offer help and support within some of these products. I'm happy to take any questions and try and explain in more detail on any of these particular items that I have experience or knowledge of, if people have any questions for me. So there's a couple of questions come up onto the screen. I think the first one, let me deal with these one at a time. Can I have both a bounce back loan and a CBILS scheme? I think the answer to that, as far as the British Business Bank is concerned, is no. Is that if you take out a bounce back loan of up to £50,000, you can then subsequently apply for a CBILS loan, but you would have to pay the bounce back loan back out of the proceeds of the CBILS loan. So you can't have them running concurrently. The next question is the limits on the CBILS loan. I think I mentioned that was £5 million. You can have multiple CBILS loans in places, either with the same funder or with different funders. But as long as you stay within the £5 million limit, then that's the criteria that's put on us by the British Business Bank. Okay. Next question, how do Close Brothers Brewery rentals differ from the mainstream banks? So that's a good question. And the way that I would answer that is that Close Brothers has always worked with speciality parts of businesses. So rather than we're not a mainstream fund clearing bank, we are a merchant bank. We have specialist businesses, for example, apart from brewery rentals being the obvious one. We have motor finance division, leisure finance division, which includes caravans, camper vans, etc. We have a commercial vehicle division. We have an invoice finance division. We have a property division, solicitors funding, and various other parts of the business that are all bespoke and all niche. Close Brothers tends to do really well during recessions. It's got a very strong tier 1 capital ratio, which means that it can weather the storms quite well when we have recessions. the share price always tends to bounce back well. They were the first bank to announce dividends being paid earlier this year, which is encouraging. But it really does come down to the specialisms and the understanding of the business. So the majority of people that we have in our business are either ex-brewers or have knowledge of the brewing industry, so are able to offer fantastic advice to our customers, as well as just the finance side, which is, you know, where I would bring some knowledge. Another question here: what type of assets are you able to fund? Okay, so that's really what we're talking about is in the brewing sector, of course, is a hard asset, something that we would place a tangible value on. So obviously the brew house equipment, from your mash tuns through to your fermenting vessels, BBTs, all the packaging equipment that we talked about, the canning lines, bottling lines, refrigeration equipment, packaging equipment. Other parts of Close Brothers would look at funding of vehicles, forklift trucks, for example, pub refits. So we can refer those to other parts of the business. But basically, it's any asset that has a tangible, resaleable, remarketable value. So it's a hard asset. I think the final question I'm seeing on here: how can I provide more detail on how Close Brothers has been supporting customers through COVID? So I may have answered that to a certain degree on the previous slide, which is really in terms of each business is different. So we have customers from very small microbreweries through to large corporate businesses, and they will all have their own challenges and their own requirements. So we haven't adopted a one-size-fits-all approach. What we have been able to do is work with each individual business to align their payments requirements against their cash flow. So we are able to support, work with the customer, look at the cash flow, look at the peaks and troughs, and set a payment plan that fits within those requirements. We're always happy to have that conversation, and we're always here to help. At the end of the day, we all want to come through this together and want our customers to be bigger and stronger going forward, so that we can continue to grow and support the business together. Okay, thank you. I think that's all of the questions. Right, I'll drop off and see you backstage.